morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, this is Jan from New York City, and my channel name is Jan from New York City Saves Money. I'd like to also think that it helps save time, effort, energy, and even once in a great while, a little bit of sanity. Hey, how's everybody doing today? And as usual, I hope that everyone listening to this is doing well. We're going to talk a little bit today about thinking twice before you pull out that plastic. Now, don't get me wrong. Plastic credit cards have their rightful place. I'm not 100% against them like I was a couple of years ago, because to tell you the truth, I was listening to a very influential radio personality who seems to be extremely anti-credit card, but the reality is that we do need to keep a credit card, okay? And honestly, I don't think people need to keep more than one, but that's just one gal's opinion from New York City. But let's talk about some of the pitfalls, some of the things that can go awry if you are using your credit card in the wrong manner. And I think this is very important because, misuse of credit cards can really mess you up. It really could. It can mess up your life, to be point blank honest with you. So let's dive deeply into this. I have a few points I'd like to make, and there are definite signs that these credit card activities for you cannot be good. All right, here's a symptom. I'll call it almost like a symptom. Symptom 1, when you start relying on them as if it's your only source of income, treating a credit card like income. How do some people do that? Well, some people do that in the form of using it as their emergency fund, where there's really no actual green that you saved and called an emergency fund, designated funds that you allocated. To rely on your credit card as your sole source of emergency fund, I understand that your vehicle to make the payment. I get it. Okay, got that. But do you have a plan to back it up? Do you have resources to make that payment? Because the bills will come in. If you use your credit card and there's nothing to back it up, bad thing. Not good, not good. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Next, don't use your credit card when you cannot afford to pay the balance, which is basically pretty much what I said already. Listen, you should never live beyond your means, and that includes using your credit card. Therefore, if you know already that you just can't pay it, especially when it's this is the part that gets to me. The part that gets to me is when people use their credit cards, especially for wants as opposed to needs, okay? You don't need to have the shiniest, newest device. I mean, it's a want. Who wouldn't want the newest, most up-to-date technology? We all would. We all would. But we all also know that technology seems to change in a New York heartbeat. So if you're going to spend the rest of your life keeping up with all the changes all the time, you better have a nice, fat financial background to make all those changes with. Personally, the way I look at things, if my devices are working and gets the job done, I am still very, very happy and will not pull out plastic to get a new one unless absolutely necessary or needed as an upgrade for my business. But especially for personal use, I am going to dog that thing all the way as much as possible and get the most use out of it as possible. So don't use your credit card when you cannot afford to pay the balance. Next, do you actually even know your available credit card balance? Okay, that's a no-no, because you could accidentally max out your credit card, and even if you have one of those protection things, what's the big protection? Not too much, because you're going to end up paying a high transaction fee for maxing out your card. That is not good. So think carefully, and knowledge is power, and always know your credit card's available limit. Okay, and a good idea, actually, truly, is to confirm your limit on the card. So know what you're doing before you leave the house to go shopping, for example. Know what's on your credit card available limit. Very important. Next, did you know that if you apply for a mortgage, you need to watch out about how you use your credit card, especially around that point? You need to watch out if you have large credit card balances, because the mortgage lender is going to check your debt to income ratio, and this might affect your mortgage approval. Many folks do not realize that possibility. Okay, careless use of credit cards. Thinking that you're getting something for nothing. This usually happens to people who really, they're just not knowledgeable about, the pitfalls of credit cards. The good side, but they don't know the pitfalls, and it feels like Christmas every single day. It's a painless act. Just go to your favorite retail spot for retail therapy. By the way, I can't stand those two words, just saying. That's because I'm frugal. But also, not just there in the brick and mortar place, but even just easily online. I mean, how fast is that? So, be careful of that, because careless use of credit cards, it is not every day is Christmas, because guess what? You're going to get a bill. And if you don't pay that bill, they're going to come haunting you until you make your payments and get it right. And if you disregard it, that's a whole other mess, and that's a whole other show, of which I really should expound upon what happens then. And by the way, who really wants a bad credit history? Because this is what's going to happen if you mess up. Living with bad credit history, guess what? It's like living with a hang nail. Ever get a hang nail? That little piece of nail that you need to get your clipper and remove. If not, it's going to be very painful when you touch it in the wrong spot. I'm telling you, this is asking for disaster. An accident waiting to happen. Careless use of your credit card. Excuse me, please. Do not use your credit card if you have no plan for paying it off. Common sense, right? You would think, well, common sense would dictate that, you would have the funds to pay it off. If you don't have the funds, then at least you need to have a plan. So what is your plan? What is your game plan? Is there a game plan? So if you're unsure as to the game plan, or have no plan, or don't even consider a plan, please don't use your credit card, because that means you can't afford it. Don't do it, because it's like cutting off your nose to spite your own face. Ever hear that old-fashioned expression? It sounds humorous, but actually makes a whole lot of sense. So remember all this stuff. By the way, if you do make a purchase and you do have a plan, it's best to pay off the entire thing within 3 months. And by the way, don't do balance transfers too often. That's a red flag, and that can hurt your credit score, if I am not mistaken. Balance transfers are a great idea on occasion. Not to do them very frequently. That's not good. They look into that, and that could affect your credit score. Just saying. All right, hope that these common sense, well, that's not really common sense tips, because not everybody knows about credit cards. And I am adamant that financial education begins in school, because not all parents are knowledgeable, and this should really start at the grassroots level in elementary school. Do you agree with that? Let me know. In the meantime, this has been Jan from New York City, wishing everybody a wonderful upcoming day or evening or afternoon or whatever you're doing. Yes, have a credit card, but I don't believe you need 10 credit cards. It's just one gal's opine. Have an amazing day, everybody. Take good care now. Bye-bye.